Hey Trinity, it's Ethan. I'm here with my friend Matt Wyatt. For those of you who haven't met Matt and don't know him and Allison, to get to know him a little bit more, Matt is our candidate for what we're calling our pastor of student and missions, our missions, student and missions pastor. There it is, Matt.
Right.
And where this isn't this new full-time pastoral role, isn't only about student ministries, also lots of other things, but really today I want to focus in on that, on the student ministry component of it. But before we get there, Matt, just for the people who haven't had a chance to meet you, maybe meet you and Allison, y'all, how long have y'all been in the Valley now?
We've been in the Valley for a little over 2 years now.
Talk a little bit about why you came out here, what you've been doing, your heart for the Valley. Just try to sum up in maybe just a minute your story about how y'all came to be out here and be part of our church.
Yeah, we actually, Alice and I met living in Buena Vista. So we lived in Buena Vista for about 8 years, and we're on Young Life staff there, and moved away to North Carolina, and we became involved in a ministry within our church. And eventually that led to me going to seminary and joining our staff. And after that was over, we were kind of led to come out back to Colorado and help start churches here, help the Colorado Baptists begin church planting here and see, what's the overall work that God is doing in Colorado and specifically here in the Vail Valley. So we just jumped into a chance to join in that work.
Matt, you mentioned that you were on staff of a church in North Carolina. What was it? What was the work that you were doing there at that church? I think it was Apex Church in North Carolina.
Apex Baptist Church, and it started with just us volunteering in helping the college ministry there, and that led to helping becoming a full-time intern, a ministry associate with the church in middle school ministry, high school ministry, and even down to a preteen ministry. So 5th and 6th grade ministry is everything I got to do there.
Right. And so how long were you really working with the youth ministry there at Apex?
For a little over about 4 years.
A little over 4 years. Okay. And guys, just so that y'all know, one of the things is we've gone through the vetting process, I guess you could call it, that's a word out in the news today, with Matt, is he's provided us references for the people, Matt, that you worked with at the Young Life Camp. You were there for 6 years, I think.
Right.
Just right up at Frontier Ranch and
Trail West Lodge.
Trail West Lodge. And then the pastor that you worked under there at Apex Church, and had conversations with all these people, and just really wonderful conversations, and them sharing their excitement about this and a bit about the work that you did. So guys, those are conversations I can relate more to you if you're interested, but we've done all of that homework, and very encouraging, I think very confirming about the direction that God is leading us. Well, Matt, where I want to go now is to talk about, as we've had some of the parent meetings and different conversations with people over the last couple of months, there's been some really great questions about the topic of vision. What is our vision for our youth ministry? And that's the larger picture, I think. And then within this idea of a vision for our youth ministry, what's our plan right now? Right? What are the most important things that we need to begin to do to proactively work toward this bigger vision that God has given us? Right.
Some of the most important things, we want the student ministry to be a place where, and it really an outreach of our church, where we can share the gospel and disciple, to share the gospel with students all across our valley, and provide them a way to disciple them, to grow in their faith, and to impact the community and impact the world around us. That's definitely a big thing.
Right.
And really just the kind of the time that we're in right now, even as a nation, but even more specifically in our valley, just to break down any kind of cultural, racial barriers that we have in this valley, even barriers that students have between going to different schools.
Matt, the third thing that we talked about from a vision standpoint, so we want to be able to reach all the kids. We want to be, a youth ministry that breaks down barriers. But then once we, from a vision standpoint, start to grow and strengthen ourselves, really, what's that next step?
Yeah, that next step is becoming a force of transformation in this community and really around the world, as we think of being a part of mission trips and taking these students in the valley, outside of the valley.
Right.
But just as that becomes a reality, and as Jesus becomes a reality in their lives, we want to be a transformational presence where we are here and then around the globe as whatever we do with them.
So it's not just about Wednesday nights and Sunday mornings.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked about this big idea of vision. The next step, though, is where are we right now? What's our plan right now?
So number one is the student ministry can't happen without our volunteer leaders, and giving them a chance to grow and connect with each other and support them and develop them as leaders is definitely the number one thing that we need to do. We've got an awesome group of people helping these students right now. And if that's something, even watching this, if you want to be a part of and work with this amazing group of volunteers and help be a force of change for these students, I would invite you to do it, because it's going to be one of the best things you'll be a part of. But yeah, that's definitely number one. A large part of what we do is on that Wednesday night right now. So how can we develop that? How can we grow that Wednesday night and make it a better opportunity for fun and for discipleship and for that building of community, time to build community for the students and the
So
leaders.
really strengthening and maybe honing in a bit what we're doing on Wednesday nights.
Exactly.
Because we've got it, it's great right now, but taking it to the next level.
Right.
Absolutely.
And part of that too, with that plan is Sunday morning. We also have a time on Sunday morning, and seeing how we can get in, develop that, make that more of a strategic time, a discipleship time for students. That would be another thing that we would need to start doing and developing.
Yeah, one of the things we've talked about is for the Wednesday night, I think the Sunday morning might be a smaller group of kids right now. It is right now anyway.
Yeah.
But that youth ministry experience really becomes an integral part of our students' lives. That they see it that way, as to be an integral part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something that they look forward to, and it just kind of a normal part of their rhythm and routine. Just something that they are excited about and excited to bring their friends to. Another thing in all this too is reconnecting with students that just aren't coming anymore, just for various reasons, but having some kind of way to reconnect with all the students in our church, and how to do that, both here up valley in the Edwards Avon area, and then also down valley. That would be another part of how can we develop the down valley side of our ministry and begin growing those two together. Another thing too is then, once we start moving these puzzle pieces in, what's next? What we need to start developing some things that we can begin doing this summer, and begin doing, even thinking about the next school year. I mean, that's going to be important too. We've got a mission trip to Utah coming up this summer for our students. We got to get going on that, planning, developing that time. And our summer, what's our summer look like, and what are some things that we can be doing, just connecting with students now that we have and that we potentially can have, but then also that next generation of students. What are some things that we can begin integrating into the student ministry and our missions work that can develop connecting with students? Some of the other things that we did talk about were building relationships with other ministries in the valley. How can we begin, this just solely on the fact that this is a position the church hasn't had in quite some time. So just, reaching out, part of that, I think an initial part of this job would be reaching out and reconnecting with the other student groups and ministries in this valley as a whole. That would be one.
Matt, to jump in on that, one of the things I'm excited about with you coming on board is that you've got a really strong relationship with the Young Life ministry in the Valley. Not all our kids, in fact, I think not very many part of our kids are part of the Young Life ministry, which is actually okay, if they're really plugged in here. But with your Young Life involvement down Valley, that presents some opportunities to see how God may work there. Just your scouting background, with the opportunity for us to do a better job of integrating with our own Boy Scout troop, which we host, but we really don't have any connection with as a church. So that might be an opportunity.
And even other groups that use the church as a gathering place, another point of contact for other groups here.
Right, and then just, of course, the other youth ministries in the Valley, as you said, right? Let's be strategic. How could God use connections of that nature?
Yeah, and the last thing that we thought of too is just pray. I mean, just having some time that we can really begin just pouring prayer into all this transition, this change, this vision of what's going to happen, what we need, and praying for there's a huge need for God to work in the students of this valley, and we need that. We need prayer as a church, not seeing this as just a student ministry thing that our church is, but this is a church-wide deal, not just something for students or parents with students, but this is what we do as a body of Christ. This is who we are. This is where God has placed us, and we need to pray into all this and pray that God will continue to change the lives of the students in this community, as He has already been doing. We want to just see that more and more and be a part of it as a church.
Absolutely. One of the things that, guys, I'd like y'all to pray about yourselves is we've talked about the need to connect our adults with the youth.
Right.
The word mentor can kind of scare us sometimes. It's like, what is that about?
Yeah.
But guys, we have some of our students that need to have some of the adults in the church that you take them to coffee once a week, grab a Coke with them.
They need a
call them on
father.
the phone.
They need a family, because they just don't have it.
Right. So those one-on-one discipleship relationships that we can connect between our church body and our youth ministry.
And again, why our volunteers are so important. I mean, they're a huge part of that. They're the backbone of this ministry already, and we need to grow that.
Absolutely. Well, guys, this has been a bit of a long video, but hopefully if you took the time to watch all of it, you're encouraged, as I am encouraged, having this conversation with Matt. But as he said, we have an amazing team of volunteers right now. So pray for how God is leading us forward. I invite you to be here on Sunday, the 26th, right after the Edwards worship service. We'll be having, as a church, a time to discuss this further. Matt won't be here then, which is appropriate, because we'll be voting on to confirm that that God's leading us to and extend a call to ministry to Matt in this position. So, Matt, thanks for your time today. And guys, I love all of y'all. Look forward to where God is leading us.
Definitely.
And we'll see you Sunday. Hopefully, talk to you soon.